Okay, so I want to do something a little bit different tonight, but I think it might be fun, and maybe those of you that haven't ever used this feature before will find it interesting. But I know that the clouds have departed a little bit, and I think my skies are going to be pretty clear tonight. So I want to set up a imaging plan for tonight. I have kind of run through the gamut of the objects that are the popular ones. And so I maybe want to find some that maybe are either I haven't really thought about or are just kind of available to me without having to go to too much trouble. So I thought what I would do today is let ChatGPT figure it out for me. Now, for those of you that don't know about ChatGPT, it's just an AI program, and you tell it what to do and it will create a plan for you. It does have some limitations, but when you first go to the site, you just type up in a web browser chatgbt.com. And I believe the first time you come to this site, you have to set up an account, but it's free. There are some versions that you can pay for so that I think the free version lets you do X number of searches. I'm not even sure what the numbers are. You can tell it to create. I've used it before in creating thumbnails for the YouTube videos. I use it to sometimes create essays or give me information about certain topics. I've used it to help me plan trips across the country, that kind of thing. But for tonight, I'm going to use ChatGPT to tell my Seestar what to do. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it list 10 deep space objects I can see. Whoops, I guess I need to spell. It's pretty good at fixing typos, but we'll fix it here. So I can see in the night sky tonight from my area. And then I'm going to tell it to focus on northern sky or above, I think about 70 degrees in the southern sky. And I am doing that because if I point to the south, I have a lot of light to the south. And if I put the telescope in a certain place and I point to the south, it hits the house. And so if I go high enough in the sky, I can image to the south, but it just has to be pretty high in the sky. And so then when I've typed in this little request, and the more detail you give to ChatGPT, the better your result. And then you just click enter, and then it's telling you, okay, I'm assuming the location is where your computer is registered or whatever. And so it's doing its thinking, and it's going out and searching the interwebs, and it's going to figure out a plan for me. And it says, nice, I'll assume you mean Clinton, Utah, because that's near where I am. And tonight is September 8th of 2025. Well, that is tonight. I'm not sure when I'll produce this video and post it, but this is the night that we're setting up the plan. And below are 10 deep sky objects that will be well placed for observers in your area, either in the northern sky, um, including circumpolar objects, or their transit high or near the zenith tonight. I've included where to look, why each one qualifies, as in northern or high altitude, and quick observing tips. And then it tells me right here the quick local night info. The sun sets at 1926 to 1950, and the astronomical twilight ends around 2100. So, best deep sky viewing after 2100. Then it gives me a list of the 10 objects. So, the ones that it has me listed are M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. It tells me its declination. It's at 41 degrees. I am going to image all of these in EQ mode, and so these degrees are pretty accurate. Um, I'm probably also going to only do 10-second exposures because it's possible that some of them it won't find them or there's an obstacle of some sort. And so I will do them in 10-second exposures. So hopefully we can gather as many exposures as possible. Um, this one is solidly in the northern sky and high in the evening. It's visible naked eye under dark skies and great in binocular and or telescope. Then it's telling me to do M13, which is the Great Hercules cluster. And I don't think I've done this one before. Really do like doing clusters, but they appear quickly and they do get better over time, but there does get a point where it's not worth doing them longer. So that one will be a good one to try out. It tells us that this is well up in the northern sky this evening. It's a bright globular cluster, excellent in small telescopes. Then it's telling me to do the M51, which I've done many times. And then M81, M82, those two are really close together. Then it's saying the Owl Nebula and the Pinwheel Galaxy and the Dumbbell Nebula, the Ring Nebula, and the Pleiades. And so we'll have to put these into the plan and see if they all line up. If there's not enough, well, let me go over these tips first. Start observing after astronomical twilight, which is around 2100 for best contrast. Use binoculars to sweep for M31 or M45. There's several of them you could do with just binoculars or with telescopes. And we're going to use the Seestar. For precise current positions on a live sky map, open Stellarium, Web, or Skyarc. We're just going to let the telescope do that for us. We're going to set up a plan so it will tell us where they are. And then it's telling us, if you want, I can create a custom star chart for my area for tonight, showing these 10 objects, or give you finder's charts. Now, I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to set them up in a plan. But then down below, it has a ask anything, and you could refine this. So say, for example, we go into the plan and they're not, we can't spread them out over the night for some reason. So say, for example, the last three are all up between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. and then they go really low, so we probably won't get them. I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm just giving it as an example. And so we wouldn't really be able to image all three of those tonight on the same plan. Then I could come down here to this Ask Anything and type in add 5 more objects to this list, or I could tell it refine this list to only nebula, and then it would refine the list even more. And so ChatGPT is kind of a fun little software. It's very powerful. It sometimes is a little tricky to get it to define things that you want. Like, for example, when I was planning my trip, I was going to go to some national parks and I would tell it the national parks and it would give me some weird ways to get there that weren't the most efficient ways to get there, or it would skip part of the plan of my trip, or, so sometimes it's hard to get it to exactly give you what you want, but hey, it's a fun tool to use, and I think it'll be fun. So I'm gonna switch over to my Seestar app. We will add all of these objects into the app as a plan for tonight, and then we will see where they all fall on that plan. And if we need more, we will come back to this screen, and in this box where it says ask anything down here at the bottom, I can add more objects or refine the list even more. But that's what I'm going to do next. I do have to switch to a different device, so the sound may be a little bit different, but it is what it is. Okay, I have launched the Seestar app. I have not connected to the Seestar. I haven't even turned it on, but I'm just going to go in here and set up a plan. And I'm going to create a new plan and I will call it ChatGPT. Okay. So here's our first one, and then I'm just going to go up here and search for the object. And the first one that was on our list was M31. So I'm going to locate that and add it here in the plan. And maybe I'll just do that at the beginning. And I'll be able to rearrange these. I want to start after 2100 because that's what it suggested. So we'll start right at 2100 and just image for an hour. Let's see. Maybe I better do a little framing on this one just to I don't want to frame it and make it mosaic because with just an hour it's not going to image, but I'll just rotate that framing so that hopefully it captures a lot of M31. So there's M31. And then the next one was M13, which is right here. And we will add that one. And you see that one's going down. See, this is what I was telling you before. So it might be that several of these are only imageable during this window and we might not be able to fit them all in, but we will do our best and try to do that. Now this one is a cluster, so it probably doesn't need a whole hour. So I'm just going to do a half hour on that one. The next one is the Whirlpool Galaxy. Let's see if it's listed here because that makes it easier. It is. So then we'll add it to the plan. See, we're going to have trouble with that one. So M51 probably is not going to work for us. And so we're going to delete that one. Then we're going to do the next one, and then we can go and add more to it if we need to. The next one is Bodhi's Galaxy, which is M81. And we will add that one. And that one, it looks like it'll be better at the end of the evening when it's a little bit higher. And I will do it for an hour as well. And then the next one is the Cigar Galaxy. That one's right there near Bodhi's Galaxy. Let's see, M82. And we'll find that one and add that one. And that one's really close. So we know that that's going to be at about the same place in the sky. We will do that one for an hour. The next one is the Owl Nebula, M97. Let's see, M97. And we'll add that. Oh, see, that one's another one that it's going to be above the horizon there right at the very beginning of the night, but before we're going to even image. So let's not do that one. The Pinwheel Galaxy is, oh, whoops. I didn't want to add that. So let's go to M101. Pinwheel Galaxy. And we'll add, see, that's going to be a little bit low, so it might be a little tenuous, but we will give it a shot. Let's see, we'll go to, and we'll do that one for an hour. It might be high enough that we can do that one. It'll be a test, I guess. So the next one is M27. M27. And that one is up high. Oh, good. That one should fit in there just fine. 12. Let's see. Let's go for an hour on that one. And then the Ring Nebula is M57. M57. And we'll see. That one's up nicely. It should fit in there. Let's see. Gotta finagle those little dials. And then the last one on the list is M45. Let's see where that one is. And the M45 I like to do in framing and enlarge it, but I don't want to do that for this since we're not going to do long exposures. So then we'll be able to add it right there. I could do it for several hours. Maybe we'll do that. Well, we'll go back into ChatGPT and see if we can add one or two more right there in the middle that are going to be up between about 2 and 3:30. And so that's the plan for now, and then we'll go back to the computer and have ChatGPT refine its little list and give us a few more objects to add. So I'll switch out the recording to the computer again. So if you hear a sound change, that's why. Okay, I'm back on ChatGPT, and I'm gonna scroll down here to the bottom here and see it gives us some options here. I don't really want to click try again because it will rethink the whole list. So maybe I will just type in this ask anything, add uh, a nebula visible between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the northern sky, and see what it gives us. And so it's searching, and then it's telling us to do this bright northern planetary nebula in Cygnus. It's NGC 7027. And so we will try that one. Um, let's see. It says it gets really pretty high in the sky, it lists. And so here's a summary of the list. And so it's added that there at the very end of our list as an add-in. And then if it doesn't work, we could always come back here and add another one. I won't show that if we need to, but I'll go back into the plan and add this NGC 7027, and we'll hopefully be able to fill up that little blank part of our plan. And then what my idea is I will just run this plan tonight, and I will save the results and put those up next. So it'll be through the night that I'm recording, but by the time the video is created, it'll be next up in the lineup where we will see the results. So here I am. I am going to try and add that object. And when I go into the 7027, you see there's really not a lot there. And in an hour, there is, I have to zoom in really far to see it. That's not going to materialize probably very well. But then when I zoom out, I see it's very close to the North American Nebula and the Pelican Nebula. And so maybe we will just do the Pelican Nebula. I won't enlarge it or anything, but we'll just add it right in there because that will fill up that slot. And we will just have that one in there as our fill-in spot. So there's our plan for tonight, and I'll run it, and next we'll show the results. It's several days later for me because of the clouds and things. So we had to wait for a good night to execute this plan, but I'm just now setting it up. I'm doing the polar alignment in the Seestar app. We're going to do it in EQ mode at 10-second exposures. And then we're going to run that ChatGPT plan and see how it goes. So that's what we're doing here is we're doing the polar aligning and setting up the Seestar. So we're ready to go. So we were finally able to complete the ChatGPT plan. We took several nights longer than we thought we would. When we set up the plan and did the polar aligning, I plopped it outside, and within a half hour or so, the clouds started rolling in. The lightning started. I just didn't dare leave it outside, and that happened for several nights. And so it took several nights for us to get this one. But last night was the time, and we were able to complete the plan. And so now let's go over our results and see what we captured. This is the saved images on the Seestar. And we got to keep in mind that we do know that these are short exposures, so they're not going to be fabulous. The one that we started with is M31, and that was last night, and the lighting on this is terrible.
this is not a good picture of M31 at all. This was the first one in the evening, so around 9 p.m. I think it was just low enough in the sky that it was capturing either the light from my house or a neighbor's house. It was just terrible. The skies looked okay, but I think it was just moved enough that it's pretty low on the horizon at 9 p.m. And so that's what we captured. Um, let's see if we can tell. Um, see, we only even captured 11 exposures that night. It was just terrible for M31. The night, a few nights before, this is what they looked like, the exposures, and this is what they looked like last night when we executed this plan. And so it was a terrible night for M31. But, we knew this going into it that we were doing short exposure times, but, we're gonna see how it worked out anyway. The next one is M13, and M13 is the star cluster, and this is what I did a couple of nights before, and it turned out okay. But last night's, we had the same problem we did with M31. A lot of light came in. It just wasn't very dark. I mean, it did appear, but it's very faded, very muted colors. Usually star clusters um, pop really well like that and very quickly. And so the lighting was not great for that image either. Um, it did save more exposures throughout that night, but you see there's a lot of problems here in the beginning and it probably dropped a whole bunch too. And so that one didn't work great, but at least it did image it. The next one in the lineup was M101. Let's see. Here's M101. We did catch a satellite in the middle of that one. That's not a problem. We could always go through the subs folder, delete that one, and then restack them. I mean, I probably won't go to that much trouble with these because they're very short exposures and they're not going to be fabulous. We can keep some of the exposures to add to our data bank, but we're probably not going to do a whole lot with this particular one. There was some light issues here in the bottom, and in the top there's some light problems, but that's M101, so at least it turned out I could identify it by looking at it. It did okay. The next one is M27, and this is last night's, and it turned out very nice. You can see not tons of detail in the center there of the nebulosity, the clouds and things inside there, but it turned out pretty nice for the short exposure that we did. And so the lighting is getting better through the night, and this one may have been a little higher in the night sky too. I don't remember, but um, that one turned out pretty nice. So that's M27. The next one is M57. This one is a smaller helix nebula, and it's definitely overexposed. This one we would have to do some um, processing to bring out the green eye in the middle. But it did image. We were able to identify it by looking at it, so it did pretty good too. Let's see how many exposures that one saved. Um, Let's see. I think I only had the one night saved worth of them. Let's see. Did it change? That might have been right around midnight anyway. 267 exposures. We could go through them and delete some of the bad ones too if we were going to do something serious with these pictures. But that's M57. Um, NGC 700. I believe there are some exposures in the subs folder from a previous night on a different portion of the North American nebula, but this is the Pelican Nebula, and it is definitely showing. I can see a pelican head right there. I can see its eye. The color is pretty brilliant and bright. We could do a denoising on this one and clean it up a little bit. It turned out pretty nice. The North American Nebula is pretty large, and this is just one part of it, but it turned out pretty nice. That one is good. Yeah, it's a lot more red than I remember, so we could do a little, enhancing here to make it look a little bit more natural. I like them to look natural, I don't want them to look funky, you can make it really red, or you can clean it up and lighten it up a little, and that's probably what I would do if I was doing post-processing, but we did capture enough, exposures on this one that it looks pretty nice. So that's the Pelican Nebula. The next one is M45. We saved 281 exposures, and that's what we came up with, and that turned out pretty nice too. And keep in mind, we did not do any framing or mosaic mode. We knew we were just doing short exposure times, but that's what we ended up with is M45, and that turned out pretty nice. The blue gases around the stars are really coming out, and that's a pretty nice picture for a short exposure. Um, yeah, that one turned out pretty good. The next one is M82, and there's the cigar galaxy right there in the middle, and it turned out pretty nice. There's Bodhi's galaxy here in the bottom. I guess I can't move it up to the bottom. It cut it off. We could have done some framing and captured them both, but when you're only imaging for an hour, it's not going to complete the mosaic mode. But that's M82. Yeah, M82. M81 is next, and that's right below it. And you could see the M82 at the very top of the screen, and the M81 Bodhi's Galaxy right here in the middle. The light is starting to come in here a little bit. I think it's pretty low on the horizon too. And so I don't know if it's from my neighbor's house or anything. We could definitely do some editing on this one and clean it up quite a bit. We could darken it. We could do some cropping and just fit it right in there. So we could do enough editing to make that one pretty nice as well. Let's see, it say 285 exposures. So these last few saved about the same amount in the same amount of time. So they're all doing fairly well. This M101 subs folder I previously recorded and this video, and there was a satellite that went through, and I went in and I deleted that. And what it does is whenever you do something active in one of these folders, it puts it to the top. So that M101 folder really belongs down here. But that's why it's up there. And I'd just forgotten to push it had timed out and stopped recording the voiceover. And so that's why that is out of order. But yeah, we saved quite a few. Let's see how the plan did. Did we get them all? Yeah, we got them all. And when you execute a plan, it basically duplicates the plans, and it puts the one on the bottom is the one that is um, the plan that we created, and then the one at the top is the executable one. So it kind of duplicates them. But you can see that the boxes around each one is green. That means it succeeded and executed the plan. We can even click on the plan and see the details about it and that each one of them succeeded. And so ChatGPT did do pretty good on this plan. It created a list of objects that we were able to view. Some of them, of course, didn't do well, but that was probably the circumstances of where I put the Seestar in comparison to my houses and the neighbors and things like that. But it did pretty good. So it was a fun experiment to try using ChatGPT to create our Seestar plan. And so if you're getting kind of bored, maybe you can try using ChatGPT to come up with some ideas on what to do. Anyway, we're wishing clear skies to everybody, and thanks for watching.